All right, let's talk about tangent really fast. Tangent. You guys know how to find tangent? Did you write this down? Okay, if I just said, what is tangent, what would you say? Good. You'd say opposite over adjacent. That's the first thing you learned. You learned about tangent, and you said, oh, it's opposite over adjacent, because you learned SOHCAHTOA and all that stuff. All right, now opposite, what is considered to be opposite in trigonometry? Sine. So sine theta over cosine theta. Whoops. That would be tangent as well. Now, in terms of x and y, what is sine?
Y.
Sine is y. So this is what tangent equals. You should have all this in your head. This last one is the most important for you right now because that would be the quickest way to think about it. Tangent of any angle is y divided by x. So if I were to ask you what is tangent of pi over 2, you should be able to give me that answer. You just have to consider the unit circle where theta or pi over 2 is, and then you have to think about what are the coordinates right there for pi over 2. Now this is a unit circle, so yes, it would be 0, 1. Okay, so what would tangent equal here? 1 divided by 0 because it's y divided by x. But what is 1 divided by 0? Undefined. This is undefined. You can't do this. It is undefined. There's another point on this graph, on this unit circle, where we have a 0 for the x. Do you guys know where that other angle is? What's the other angle that will give us a 0 for the x?
360?
No, 360 would be right there.
270.
That doesn't give me a 0 for the x. 270?
Yeah.
270 would be right there, but do you guys know what that is in radians? It's 3 pi over 2. So that's 3 pi over 2.
But it's still.
And what are the coordinates right there?
0, -1.
0, -1. So the same case right here, we would get undefined for tangent. You guys understand that? That makes sense? Okay. So for tangent of pi over 2 and tangent of 3 pi over 2, we both get undefined. Which is why at pi over 2 we can put an asymptote right here, and we can put an asymptote right here. Because tangent does not give you a value at those points. It's undefined. Now tangent does give you a value at these 3 special points. And they're special points because they come out really clean. And so we're going to use these points when we graph tangent. Alright, so how do we get those points? Let's start out with the middle one. What is the middle point? What is the angle of the middle point? Pi. So what is tangent of pi? So let's look at our little unit circle right here. Let's get rid of these guys. We have a little too much going on.
1, 0.
Okay. What are the coordinates at pi?
1, 0.
Let's see. I go this way, and that's pi. And what are the coordinates right here?
1, 0.
No?
1, 0.
Yeah, 1, 0. Yeah, you guys are getting confused, like which one goes where. The x number always goes first. The y number goes second.
Negative.
Okay, so if I have a tangent of pi, it's going to be 0 divided by 1. Is this allowed? Can I say 0? Oh, thank you. Can I say 0 divided by -1? Is that allowed? Yes, it is allowed. You are allowed to divide 0 by anything you want. What is it going to equal? No. 0.
Oh.
Okay, guys. I don't know how many times I have to stress this. Division is like dividing things amongst people, like money. Let's think about that for a second. If I have 4 people and I have to pay them for a job, and I only have $20, how much money does each person get? $5. Because 20 divided by 4 is 5. If I have 0 people doing the job because I'm doing it myself, how how much money would each person get? 0, because there's no people. Does that make sense? No, that doesn't make sense. Here, let me write it out. If I have $20 and I have 0 people, how much money does each person get?
None.
Okay, guys, if I have $20 and 0 people, listen to my question. How many dollars does each person get? There's no people!
Exactly. They don't get anything.
Who's they?
The people.
Do you have imaginary friends?
You're pretty much saying there's nobody.
Yeah, there's nobody. And
So
I'm asking a question.
They don't get anything.
All right, you 4 people over here. You're not working on my job. Okay, nobody. I got to divide this money amongst you. How much money does each person? There's nobody there. It doesn't make sense. It's undefined. You cannot divide 20 by 0.
Damn, you hella took
You guys drive me nuts.
There's no way to.
You cannot divide by 0. Now, what if I have $0 and I have 4 people to divide my $0 with? I'm going to ask the same question. How many dollars does each person get?
0.
Yeah, now that question now makes sense because now there's people.
You don't have any money.
So, they get $0. All right. Guys, don't get caught up. Come on, that's foolish and childish. Let's pay attention here. Okay, so tangent of pi equals 0. So that's why I have a point right here at 0. It's at 0, at y equals 0. You guys got that?
Yeah.
Okay, now what is the angle between pi over 2 and pi? Like, I want this number right here. What is that? You guys know what that number is? This one right here. I want this number. Give me the number that's between pi over 2, and give me the angle that's between pi over 2 and pi. I want the angle. So this angle right here. What is this angle?
135.
Ooh, 135 degrees. You are correct. Can you give that to me in radians? This would be pi over 4 right here. This would be 2 pi over 4. This would be 3 pi over 4. And then finally 4 pi over 4, which is just pi. So this angle right here, 3 pi over 4, do you guys know what the coordinates are at that angle?
1.
What are the coordinates right here? Negative rad 2 over 2. Rad 2 over 2.
Then how'd you find it?
Alright, so I just had a great question. How do I get 3 pi over 4? Okay, you see these numbers? We have pi over 4. Actually, that doesn't say 4 right there. We have pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4. We're counting by 4s. Now, let's think about this for a second. If I had a 0 and a 1, how do you find the middle between 0 and 1? Divided by 1, or divided by 2, which would be the same as going 1 times 1/2, right? That would give me 1/2. That would give me this. So, how do I find the number between 0 and 1/2? You're going to take 1/2 and multiply it by 1/2, the same. And so I get 1/4. Okay. So what's the number between 1/2 and 1? Now we can use a strategy here because we see a pattern. This is a 4th. This is a 4th. So what would this be? Another 4th. So that would be 3/4. And now if I just throw the pi's on here, I'm hoping you can see that's how I got 3 pi over 4. That I know that 3 pi over 4 is in the middle of 2, or pi over 2 and pi. So anyways, that's that number right there. So what are the coordinates for this point? You guys might remember them to be negative rad 2 over 2 and rad 2 over 2. Now if I wanted tangent of that point, what would you get? What is tangent of 3 pi over 4? What is that going to give us? Remember, it was y divided by x, y divided by x. What do you get? What do you get? Well, they're the same numbers, right? Except one's a negative, so you get a -1. So that's why this point right here is at -1. Oi. So what would this number be? Well, that number is going to be the number between 4 pi over 4 and 6 pi over 4. See, this would be 5 pi over 4, and this is 6 pi over 4. 6 pi over 4 simplifies to be 3 pi over 2, which should be a familiar angle to you. What are the coordinates for this one right here? Negative rad 2 over 2 and negative rad 2 over 2. What if I divide those, what do I get? You get a positive 1. That's why this point is right there. Okay, does everybody see what's going on? Alright, so if I take this 2 and I multiply it times tangent, that 2 is actually going to multiply to this negative 1. So check this out. If I put the 2 right here onto this guy, then I'm going to put a 2 onto this guy. What is 2 times negative 1? So this point is no longer there. He is down here at negative 2. And this point's no longer going to be there. Where is he going to be? He's going to be up here at positive 2. Because we can do the same thing with the positive number. And then we just connect those. Actually, I want to continue that right there. Then we got our tangent graph. So this 2 only changes these points. How would you describe that change? Stretched it. Stretched it which way? Horizontally or vertically? Vertical stretch. What do you think this is going to do? If we multiply it by 1 over 3, if I multiply 1 by 1 over 3, what are you going to get? Smaller. Let's see. It's like compressing, I guess you can say it. You would put a point right here at 1/3 and a point right here at negative 1/3. And so your graph would look like this. I did all this nonsense right here just to explain to you guys how we get on a regular tangent graph, how we get this point right here, this point right here, and this point right here. Okay? Remember earlier, last week we did a big old table of values, and it gave us a bunch of points on this line. So that was to see like the shape of it. But now we only really need these 3 points to do a rough sketch of our tangent function. This is at 1, this is at 1, and this is at 0. Okay, now these 3 points change depending on what is happening to the tangent function. So like if there was a 2 multiplying to the tangent function, then you're going to multiply the 1 by 2 right here and this negative 1 by 2 to find your new points.